it seems like the Portland Trailblazers lack direction for the last few years.
Let's zoom all the way out. Friend of the show, Danny LaRue, likes to say that ownership is the biggest advantage in professional sports. Um, Paul Allen, who was a very invested, both financially, emotionally, like attention wise, was died about 5 years ago. And since then, the team has kind of been in limbo. And when you reach a point where you have to make a choice and pick a direction as a franchise, not having that guidance from on high sort of leaves a vacuum, and then you get into situations where there's competing agendas and eventually probably just stasis and inertia. And so the Blazers had choices to make that they just kind of didn't make and let stuff bubble along.
I mean, Seth used a lot of big words there, so I'm not really prepared for that. The choices and stuff is just like, I look at it in a couple of ways. One, they screwed up. They should have traded Dame last offseason. Not this summer. They shouldn't have waited till Dame made a trade demand. I understand. Franchise player, face of the franchise, the city absolutely adores him until he makes a trade demand. But the whole deal was they should have traded him last year. And there's so many different reasons beyond the obvious they would have avoided this current situation that they're in now. But I just think the market was there last year. It's not there this year. And I think that's an ultimate thing there, but that's a choice they made, right? And the same way that they made the choice of signing the extension, now he's tied to them and they get to decide his future. And he's doing, as Dave said, his best job to muck it up for any other team that wants to trade him. He's doing all he can to ensure he's getting what he wants, which is to go to Miami. And I think that's been, I know a lot of people don't like it. That's just the way this goes in that sense, is like, you got to be a dick, and he's doing it.
I think, to be fair, none of this has actually come out of his mouth. It's been pretty inelegant attempts sort of by, through media and representation and stuff like that, promising things that nobody actually believes about a guy who's like built his career around professionalism and leadership, that he's going to just not show up. Like,
yeah, but I think
nobody buys that.
But I think his comment of, in a perfect world, I'd be a Blazer, but they want different things than I do, is that came out of his mouth on his podcast tour as he's trying to pump up his album or whatnot. But I think that's kind of an important thing there, right? Like that's a note there of what he's saying, of like, they don't want what I want. Otherwise, I'd want to stay a Blazer the rest of my life. So I think that's kind of an important note. And that came straight from his mouth in that regard. But I think you're right in that nobody believes he's not showing up to camp. But if he doesn't, Seth, oh man, our content, baby, the content we'd get to throw out there after that.
I think it's boring if he doesn't show up to camp. I think it's way better if he shows up to camp and does the whole like, I'm a dog thing, and just like, all right, let me take the bench guys and destroy the starters, go total Jimmy Butler.